from a couple years ago, or it was stuff with Adam Cole. I think I was watching like a best of or something, and he the announcing, right? It used to be Kevin Kelly and Steve Corino, and like I remember when we first started watching Ring of Honor, I think it was like 2013 when we started watching it regularly. They were the announcers, and they were really good. And it kind of helped at least for me, helped draw me in, right? In the sense that I was watching, like I knew who Kevin Kelly was, I knew who Corino was. I thought they were good on commentary, and then that coupled with
too,
coupled with the in-ring product and stuff like that made it for a good show. Now they're both gone, right? Corino's working in the Performance Center for NXT, and Kevin Kelly, I think, is more focused on New Japan. He's no longer going to be calling Ring of Honor shows. So, and the replacements. I mean, Ian Riccaboni's not bad, but
we love Ian Riccaboni.
Yeah.
I think he's fantastic.
Yeah, him and Whitmer's not. It's just not. It's not good. Not the same, I guess, is all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Without getting too negative about it. It's just not the same. So
I don't want to say you're being too negative about it, but when you have a new color commentator every single week, it's tough to build the rapport with that person, and you can't just like. I'm trying to think, like Taz is a good example of a guy that was a good wrestler, and then he transitioned apparently very well to being a color commentator. But I can't really think of anybody else. Matt Stryker, he's kind of in the same boat. But BJ Whitmer to me doesn't really fit that mold.
Yeah, I think there's kind of like, it seems like they're shoehorning him in a little bit because he's been there for a long time and he's probably a trainer. What's the matter? Shoehorn?
Remember when
it's an Al Bundy joke?
Yeah, when he nicknamed himself Shoehorn Aplenty when he was in the phone sex line? It was classic. I haven't heard the term shoehorn since then, but sorry, continue.
No, I assume he's got a contract there. He's probably at the end of his wrestling days, and he's more of a trainer for Ring of Honor, I'm thinking, right? So they probably just have him under contract and like, oh, we'll use him as a commentator. He's probably interested in doing it. He did a couple of commentary spots in the past, but it's just not the same with him as it was with Corino and Kelly. I think Whitmer and Riccaboni, it doesn't have the same feel and presentation when you watch it. It doesn't have that big match feel or big show feel, I think, if those guys aren't there. So
doesn't feel like the Big Show?
Yes, it does not feel like the Big Show.
No, you're right. It's just because they don't really know each other that well. I listen to the Jackal or Don Callis and Kevin Kelly, but because they're both professionals and been doing it so long, they pick up kind of right where Kevin Kelly and Corino left off, and it's almost like the same kind of vibe. It's very funny. I like when there's a little bit of humor in the commentary, like Jerry Lawler to me is like over the top of it. Like Bobby Heenan was great. Corino was really, really good, and the Jackals or Don Callis is very funny too. So
I mean, Corey Graves is good. I think
Corey Graves is good. You know who else was pretty good? Cole Cabana.
Cabana's better than Whitmer, I think. I mean, if they were to
that sentence you could just stand alone with that. Cabana's better than Whitmer, and just stop right there. But I'm gonna, like I said, we're gonna watch a pay per view. Huge fans of Ring of Honor, and I hope they kind of get back on track. But it's tough to get on track when all of your talent is now at NXT of Honor. It's tough.
It's a tough way to reload and try to get new guys in there. They're leaning heavily on New Japan and other organizations to help fill out the cards, which is fine, I think. But like when you're on as far as their internal talent, I mean, they have some guys that are okay, that are good, but it's just not as deep of a talent pool as it was in the past when. Like you look at the first Ring of Honor pay-per-view we went to, which was Final Battle in 2014.
Jesus.
And you've got, it was Adam Cole, Jay Briscoe, Michael Elgin, Tommaso Ciampa. You had, I think, Jay Lethal, Matt Sydal, Red Dragon versus the Time Splitters. There was up and down the card, I think, Warbeard Hansen was in the opener, like in the four-way.
Right, because Ro was hurt, yeah.
There was just a lot of stuff.
Moose
was on that card. Yeah, I mean, Roddy Strong, right, was on that versus Adam Page.
Okay, now I'm just getting sad.
Yeah, so that's what it was, and that was only like a couple of years ago, not even less than 3 years ago. That's what it was. And like now, the majority of those guys we mentioned are gone, right? Like we said, Bennett's gone.
Yeah.
They were bringing in guys like AJ Styles and Carl Anderson, Doc Gallows, all gone to WWE. So really, you're just kind of relying. Cedric Alexander was there. He's gone. ACH was there. He's gone. Right, the guys that are still there.
I'm gonna look up while you do. I want to look up that card and see how many guys are still there.
It's probably like the Young Bucks, the Addiction, the Briscoe brothers. I think War Machine, I guess technically is still there, but a lot of the other guys are gone, and most of them are either in NXT, or the main roster now, or they're working in Japan primarily. Like a guy like Michael Elgin, who was there for a while, then he just kind of decided to focus on Japan, and for whatever the reasons were, his issues with Ring of Honor, maybe that botched title reign that he had, all that type of stuff. But it's very, very different, and they have not brought a lot of guys in or worked a lot of guys up through to that main event level. To main event level talent where you can see them challenging for a title. A guy like Dalton Castle, I think they've done pretty well with in terms of bringing him in, and then Skrull was a good guy to get to improve on that on the talent roster. But other than that, I don't know. They had Ospreay in there. I feel like Ospreay hasn't really done much in a long while.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
So it's a lot more thinned out. Like from top to bottom, announcers, even like Nigel McGuinness, right, was their on-air authority guy. He's gone. Like, so, we talked about it all. It's just, there's so many guys have left, and they have not been able to replenish with enough other guys. So
I'm just going to very, very quickly go down the card. Hansen defeated Jimmy Jacobs, Mark Briscoe, and Caprice Coleman. Jimmy Jacobs, WWE.
Right.
Roddy and Adam Page. Roderick's gone. Adam Page is still there. Michael Elgin versus Tommaso Ciampa. Both gone. Young Bucks and ACH against The Addiction and Cedric Alexander. Right. ACH and Cedric's gone. Right. Moose versus R.D. Evans.
Yeah, they're both gone. Yeah. Oh, everyone else in that match is gone, right? Except for Prince Nana.
Oh, yeah, Stokely Hathaway.
Veda Scott is gone.
Yeah. Jay Lethal and Truth Martini versus Matt Sydal. Matt Sydal's gone.
Yeah.
Red Dragon versus Time Splitters. Red Dragon's gone. Jay Briscoe versus Adam Cole. Adam Cole's gone. That's more than half of that show. The same can be said for all those, those shows we went to. It's really tough to look at. I mean, like Donovan Dijak, like you said, Matt Sydal, ACH. Cedric, and anybody else we're missing? Well, as it go down this card,
I think you got most of
them. Oh yeah, Michael Bennett,
Mike Bennett, was
Adam
gone.
Cole on this one.
Yep, AJ Styles, all those guys. Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah, AJ Styles. Even Samoa Joe was there for a cup of coffee, and who was, of course, after he was there many years ago, but he came back. They do have a lot of talent now, but the problem is the talent they have now, it's all talent they've had for X amount of years, so it's the storylines are like a little bit stale, and it's tough. I mean, WWE is doing what they can to bolster their roster, and I don't fault them for it. I mean, I get a little frustrated being a fan of Ring of Honor because you see these guys, it's almost like a mass exodus. Like the last 6 to 8 months have been they just wiped out all of their big players, and they tried to take the Young Bucks, they tried to take the Briscoes, and the Young Bucks and the Briscoes didn't want to go, but they would, imagine if they would have taken the Young Bucks and the Briscoes too, there'd be nothing. It'd be me versus you, curtain jerking for Jay Lethal and Silas.
A little TV time.
Yeah, wouldn't kill for some TV time.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess that's this week's Ring of Honor downer conversation that we started the show on. But I think it needed to be said because I think we both had the same thought about their pay-per-view being next Friday, and it really kind of came out of nowhere. I didn't have a lot of knowledge on it until I started reading on the card, and it's a little disappointing. So I think they're in a rough spot. I mean, hopefully for them, they can find a way to bounce back and get some. I don't know if it's the booking or the talent or whatever it is, but to get some better storylines and more attention back on the product. So that would be to their benefit.
I mean, they just develop talent. The WWE comes in and swoops them away.
With every death, there comes rebirth. It's a circle of life.
It's happened before. It's going to happen again. We just need them to start building some more talent.
Well, I think maybe now's the time to go into a little Mae Young Classic conversation. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I got a lot of opinions. You might want to cover your ears.
Okay.
There's going to be a lot of opinions on this Mae Young Classic.
Do you want to tell the listener who, the one listener that we have, who were brought, where people can find us, or who we're brought to by for this week?
I feel like you're intimating that I should be playing one of the drops. And I got so furious about this Mae Young Classic shit that I forgot I was going to play one. So before I get into the segue, we need like a hand signal, like the Navy SEALs code, like in Saving Silverman. I'm going to remind you. God, we should be on video. I mean, I should because I'm ugly, but as always, we are brought to you by Damage 365 Radio Network.
Formerly the genius full of glory and renown. You are listening to Damage 365 Radio.
On top of that, you guys can also always find us on Twitter and on Instagram at AllNightLongWP and on Facebook.com/AllNightLongWP. I hope we have some breaking news for our listeners in the future. I'm going to tease it.
Because you want to play the breaking news drop or just...
I totally forgot. You know what? You gave me shit for that and I haven't played in like 3 weeks, okay?
I appreciate it.
You're welcome. So let's get into the Mae Young Classic. Well, I still have anger inside me because it goes away so easy. We were talking. We were looking at the brackets before. I've unfortunately watched every single match so far.
Well, that's not very nice.
Well, because there's a lot of matches and a lot of them were terrible. And I think you've seen the first 4 episodes?
I watched the first 4 episodes, which is the entire first round. Then I just started watching episode 5, which is the round of 16.
Okay. I think it's safe to say, like you said earlier, there were a lot of questionable decisions in this Mae Young Classic, booking-wise, as to who should go over and who should advance. And maybe people were paired up a little bit too early, I feel like. I'm not going to go into every single match, but right off the top of my head, I think one of the matches that, both women had huge upsides with Mia Yim and Sarah Logan. Sarah Logan has a really cool gimmick where she's kind of like a hillbilly kind of deal. And actually, I was watching with the Natural herself, and she looks at her. She's like, she'd be really good with the Briscoe brothers. And I was like, that's actually it's a pretty good idea. But those two had a really good match, and the crowd was going back and forth on them. Sarah Logan's very, very popular down there in the I must say in the Impact Zone. What is it called? Full Sail.
Full Sail, yeah.
Full Sail. Everybody knows Mia Yim from her work in Impact as Jade, and I thought those two had a really strong match, and I just don't know. I would have saved Sarah Logan for a little bit later.
Yeah, I think that's one that I would say. I know that I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Jazzy Gabbert?
Blaine Gabbert.
Blaine Gabbert. She seemed very popular with the crowd, so having her lose to Abby Lath.
Let's not call her Abby
Kimberly,
Lath, because Abby Lath is the worst name. It's right up there with Cassius Ono.
Also known as Kimberly in the first round, was tough. The other two, I would say, that I feel like should have gone beyond the first round was Tessa Blanchard. Yep. She had a good match with Kairi Sane. Oh, good, there's landscapers outside my house.
Are they actually in your house?
To mow the lawn.
Yeah.
In the middle of the day while we're trying to do a podcast. That's good. That's healthy.
Keep it down, asshole!
There you go. That's the way to be. Tessa Blanchard was one, and I'm trying to think of who the other one was that I was thinking of. It really bothered me yesterday. I'm looking at the whole card, and Santana Garrett was the other one. I thought she had a good match with Piper Niven. Santana Garrett looks like she's... What was that?
Who is Santana Garrett?
Santana Garrett was in TNA.
Impact, right?
For a little while. I can't remember what her name was there. She ended up playing like a crazy psycho chick that was with Sam Shaw, I believe. But she was in Impact. She looks, I guess, when I saw her, like her appearance and the way that she works, she looks like she's ready for the main roster already. Like, to me, like just looking at her, compared to especially some of the other women that are there. Go for it.
Do you know who she was trained by?
No, I don't. I'd just be completely guessing.
She was trained by a gentleman by the name of Dingo, but she was also trained by Larry Zbyszko and Scott Hall.
There you go.
So that probably has something to do with it.
So her, Santana Garrett and Tessa Blanchard, I think, are big enough, recognizable enough names, at least to me, where I would have probably done the opening round pairings in a different way to get them to advance to round 2. That's probably what I would have done. But, it is what it is. They just had certain people that they decided they wanted to push out of the first round. So some of them are in-house talent. I think like Lacey Evans is one that went into the second round. She's somebody that I'd seen on NXT previously. They had other folks I'm sure they wanted to make sure advanced to the next round for whatever the reasons were. So
I have a problem with some of the advancements, but I'll get into those.
Yeah. So those are the first round ones. I would say those are the couple that I thought would have been. They could have used those women in the next round to improve the match quality, but
a lot of these opening matches were, how can I put this very gently, god awful. They were bad. Not all of them, and I understand the idea behind it. You don't want to, how do I say this politically correctly? You don't want to overextend yourself in the opening match. You want to save something for the for the semis and quarters and the finals, of course. But if you look at, I think what a lot of people are doing, and rightfully so, is they're comparing this tournament to the Cruiserweight Classic. Right. And the Cruiserweight Classic was one of the best tournaments I can remember in recent memory. And this, unfortunately, was not that. You had a lot of these girls that were very, very green. There was a lot of awkward spots. I think they weren't a lot of them weren't very familiar with each other, and that's going to happen. But they weren't able to adapt, and a lot of the